So hello students. So today we shall be discussing about the rate of the reactions. So this is my third class for this particular chapter. So today I shall just start with the small topic, that is factors affecting yeah rate of reaction. Okay, so we shall briefly study today what are the factors which affects the rate of a reaction. Okay. So the number one factor which affects the rate of a reaction is nature of reactant. So nature of a reactant. So in this chapter, later on, we shall be studying about the collision theory. Then this particular topics will be more easily understood. Okay, for the time being, just listen. So how does your rate of reaction depend upon the nature of reactant? Okay, so according to your collision theory, okay, there is a theory known as a collision theory which states that for a reaction to take place, there must be collision between the reactant molecules. Greater the number of collision, greater the rate of a reaction. And we know out of the three physical states, okay, the molecules in the gaseous state, they undergo greater number of collisions. So normally reactants which are present in the gaseous phase, they have greater rate of a reaction. So molecules which are in the gaseous phase, they have greater rate of a reaction. Okay. So the order of rate of a reaction will be gaseous state, the reactants in the gaseous state will have more greater rate of a reaction due to more collision frequency, okay, due to greater number of collisions. Then your liquid state, fine. Then your finally solid state, fine. So this is the order of rate of a reaction when the reactants are present in the three states of matter, fine. So number two would be surface area of reactants. So this is more applicable for your reactants which are present in the solid state. So how does rate of reaction depend upon the surface area of reactants? So I'll give you a simple example. Okay, burning of coal. Whenever we burn coal in our homes, okay, that is a combustion reaction. That's a chemical reaction. But when you burn a piece of charcoal, so do we put that lump of charcoal or we break it into small pieces? Okay, so obviously the answer is we break the charcoal, lump of charcoal into small pieces. Why do we do so? Because as we break into smaller pieces, the total surface area will increase. As for example, let me consider. So imagine there is a big pen. Fine. Now I'm breaking this into two pieces. So what happens as soon as I break into two pieces, a new surface area will be created. So the smaller pieces I create, the greater the surface area will be formed. Okay. So yes, the rate of a reaction increases with the increase in surface area of reactant. That is why whenever we carry out chemical reactions in the lab, okay, we must make sure that the reactant should be present in finely powdered state. Why powdered state? Because the total surface area of the reactants, okay, when it is in the powdered state will be more. So they will react more efficiently. So in a nutshell, we can say, yes, the rate of a reaction will be directly proportional to the surface area of reactant. Is directly proportional to the surface area of reactant. Fine. Okay. So third will be a temperature. So this topic will be dealt on in details later on. So remember, as we increase the temperature, the average kinetic energy of the molecules will increase. Okay, and as the kinetic energy will increase, they will move more randomly, and due to which, if they move more randomly, what will happen to the number of collisions occurring? The number of collision taking place will also increase. So the rate of most of the reaction increases with the increase in temperature. Okay, so again I'm telling you we shall deal with this later on separately. Fine. So rate of a reaction, again we can say rate of a reaction is directly proportional to your temperature. As we increase the temperature, the rate of a reaction will also increase. But don't get confused. Eh? In case of reversible reaction, yes, you have studied in class 11. Okay, there are exothermic and endothermic reactions for a reversible reaction. And we know for exothermic reaction, rate of reaction decreases with the increase in temperature. And for endothermic reaction, it is just the opposite. So I'm not talking here about your reversible reactions. Fine. So number 4, your concentration. Okay, concentration, what? Concentration of reactants. So again, the rate of a reaction, it is found that the rate of a reaction increases with the increase in concentration of the reactants. The rate of a reaction increases with the increase in the concentration of the reactant. So the next topic we'll be dealing with this is the effect of concentration. Okay, so we can just say out here, the rate of a reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of reactants. Fine. And lastly, catalyst. So we all know what is a catalyst. So how does a catalyst affect the rate of a reaction? So basically speaking, there are two types of catalyst. Okay. So one would be a positive catalyst and one would be a negative catalyst. So what is the effect of positive catalyst? It increases the rate of a reaction, and negative catalyst, it decreases the rate of a reaction. Okay. So when we talk about positive catalyst, yes, the rate of a reaction increases in the presence of catalyst. Okay, so rate of a reaction increases, we can say rate of reaction increases in presence of what type of catalyst? Increases in presence of a positive catalyst. So this also will be doing. Okay, so we shall discuss all these topics one by one later on. And the last one is the effect of light. So there are some chemical reactions which does not occur in the dark. For example, most of the photochemical reactions. So example, photosynthesis, it's a chemical reaction. For that photosynthesis to occur, light is required. The other reaction is, you can relate, is reaction between hydrogen and chlorine. It occurs in the presence of light. Okay, so light again, it increases the rate of what kind of reactions here? Photochemical reaction. It increases the rate of your photochemical reactions. Okay. So in brief, we can say these are the factors on which the rate of a reaction depends upon. Okay. So these are the factors on which the rate of a reaction depends upon. So now we shall discuss the effect of concentration. Fine. Okay. So now next topic would be effect of concentration. So for that, again, we need to recapitulate a bit from a class 11 segment, law of mass action. Okay, we have done this in your equilibrium chapter. So I'll just start with your law of mass action. Law of mass action. So what does it say? Law of mass action. According to this law of mass action, the rate of a reaction is directly proportional. The rate of a reaction is directly proportional to the active mass, and active mass means what? It's the concentration in moles per liter. It's proportional to the active mass. We can say it's directly proportional to the product of. Okay, if there are more than one reactant, we need to write this. It's directly proportional to the product of active mass of the reactants. Fine. So this is what is known as a law of mass action, which has been dealt in your class 11. Okay. So as for example, let us consider a chemical reaction A plus B, giving you say some product P. Fine. So here I have taken the stoichiometric ratio to be 1, 1 and 1. So I have considered a hypothetical reaction. Now according to this law of mass action, according to this law of mass action, according to this law of mass action, yes, what does it state? It states that the rate of this particular reaction, is directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant. So how many reactants are there? There are two reactants. So rate of a reaction in this case would be equal to the product of concentration of the reactants. So law of mass action states that the rate of any reaction will be directly proportional to the product of concentration of the reactants. Okay, so where A and B are the active masses or concentration of the reactants. Fine. Now, if we remove the proportionality sign, what do we get? We get a constant. So rate equals to this constant is denoted by small k. Fine. A, B. Okay. So by removing the proportionality constant, I have to put a proportionality sign, I have to put a constant out here. And this constant is denoted by k. So this k is known as a rate constant. Okay. It's also known as a velocity constant, or it is also known as a specific reaction rate. It's also known as a specific reaction rate. Okay, so it's known by three names. So this constant K, okay, so it is known as a rate constant, it is known as a velocity constant, or it is also known as a specific reaction rate. So basically in a board exam, so very famous question, you need to define this rate constant, 1 marks question normally. So how do you define a rate constant? Okay, or how do you define any constant? So I'll teach you a very simple method. So this will be helpful in almost all the chapters related to your physical chemistry. Okay. So we need to define this term K out here. We need to define this term K out here. So you don't have to mug up the definition. So there is a simple process, okay, by which you can remember the definition of almost all the constant. So what is the technique? So whenever you need to define a constant, so make sure you make the constant equal to the other hand side. Again, whenever you need to define a constant, okay, make sure the constant is equal to the right hand side, left opposite side. So in this case, how can you make k equal to rate? When will k be equal to the rate? So the velocity constant or rate constant will be equal to the rate when the value of concentration of A and B are equal to 1. Yes. So yes, I can say now when the concentration of reactants is equal to 1, then K is equal to the rate. Is it so? So as soon as I put the concentration equals to 1, then the velocity constant becomes equal to the rate of a reaction. So now we are in a position to define the velocity constant. So what is velocity constant or rate constant? So I can just write down the definition. So rate constant is defined as the rate of a reaction, okay, when the concentration of reactants is equal to 1 or unity. Unity means 1. Okay, so this is the definition of a rate constant. So very simple technique. Whenever you need to define a constant in any chapter, you make sure the constant becomes equal to the other hand side. So simply you put the other variables, the value of other variables as 1. For example, I put down the value of concentration of A and B equals to 1. So as soon as I do this, K becomes equal to rate. So how will I define a rate constant? So rate constant is defined as the rate of a reaction when the concentration of reactants is equal to unity. So the units of rate constant, I will be discussing this on a next segment. Okay, fine. So this is how we define the rate of a reaction. So another question which might come from this particular segment is characteristics of rate constant. Okay, so characteristics of rate constant. So another question which might come from this topic is the characteristics of rate constant. Okay, so what are the characteristics of rate constant? Okay, so we know for this hypothetical reaction, what was the rate equal to? Rate was equal to K concentration of, say, I can write down reactant. Okay, so what is K? K is the rate constant. So what are the characteristics of rate constant? Okay, So number one characteristic feature of rate constant is that it is a measure of rate of a reaction. It gives us a measure of rate of a reaction. How? K is directly related to rate. So higher the value of rate constant, so higher the value of rate constant, okay, greater will be the rate of reaction. So don't worry about the units. Again, I'm going to teach you a very simple method how to remember the units of K. It depends upon the reaction, obviously. So I'll give you two reactions just to explain you. So AB, suppose the value of K is say 3 into 10 to the power 2. Okay, so I'll just put one unit. Don't worry about the unit per second. And I'll give you another reaction. K is equal to 2 into 10 to the power say 3. Fine. So I am giving you two reactions and the value of rate constant is given. Okay. So which of these reaction has a greater rate? So which of these reactions will occur at a greater rate? So for that we need to simply compare the values of rate constant. So which one has a higher value of rate constant? Obviously the second one, 10 to the power 3. Fine. So which of these reaction proceeds at a faster rate? Obviously the answer would be the second reaction proceeds at a faster rate. So the value of K, the magnitude of K, it gives us an idea about the rate of a reaction. Okay, fine. Okay, so let us now move towards the second point. Okay, so this rate constant, it is a characteristic of a particular reaction. Okay, it is a characteristic of a particular reaction and is independent. Very important point, and is independent of the concentration of reactants. Okay, so note it down that it is a characteristic of a particular reaction. Say we are considering a reaction between nitrogen and hydrogen, okay, to give us ammonia. So the value of rate constant for that particular reaction is going to be a constant. The value of K for a particular reaction is a constant. Say the reaction between hydrogen and iodine to give you HI. The value of K for that particular reaction is a constant. And please remember, the value of rate constant is independent of the concentration of the reactants. Okay. So third point, this rate constant K, it varies with temperature. It varies with temperature. Very important. It varies with temperature. So there is a big topic on this. How does K depend upon temperature? So K, it varies with temperature and it also varies in the presence of catalyst. It varies with catalyst as well. Okay, so please remember this first point. The value of K, it depends upon the temperature. It depends upon the temperature. Okay, and as I told you again, the units of K, rate constant, it depends upon the type of reaction, which we shall discuss very shortly. Fine. So these are the characteristic features of your rate constant. So next we shall move to a very important topic, your order of a reaction. Okay, we'll move towards a very important topic, order of a reaction. Okay, so next topic would be order of a reaction. Okay, so before I go on to discuss this topic, so please remember that this law of mass action, is a purely theoretical concept. It's a purely theoretical concept. It's a purely theoretical concept. Okay. As for example, say again I write down A plus B gives us some product. Okay, so how do I express the rate? So rate, yes, it is equal to K concentration of A, concentration of B. So in order to determine the order of a reaction, we have to look at the stoichiometric coefficient as present in the balanced chemical equation. So what are the stoichiometric coefficients? 1, 1. Fine. So this is the simplest reaction. Fine. So however, if I write down the stoichiometric coefficient as small a and out as small b, that means A moles of A, reactant A, B moles of B reacts to give us product. So in the expression of rate, in the rate expression, these coefficients will be raised to the power. Okay, these coefficients will be raised to the power. So how do I raise to the power? Now I'm not going to write down A out here, rather I'm going to write down P, small p, another alphabet. Okay, and instead of writing small b, I'm writing Q out here. Remember, A may be equal to P or A may not be equal to P. B can be equal to Q or B cannot be equal to Q. So this seems quite confusing. Okay, so what is this then? What is order of reaction? Actually, order of a reaction is defined as the sum of the coefficients raised to the power. Okay, sum of the coefficients raised to the power as given in the rate law expression. As given in the rate law expression. So, order is defined as the sum of the coefficients raised to the power, okay, as given in the rate law expression. So now a new word has come. What is this rate law expression? Okay, so let us see now. So what is a rate law expression? So you need to clear this concept. So here I have told you, I have emphasized this point that this law of mass action is a purely theoretical concept. Fine. Whereas rate law, what is rate law expression? It gives us the actual dependence of rate as determined experimentally. Okay, so there is the difference between a law of mass action and a rate law expression. So what is law of mass action? So it's a purely theoretical concept. And what is this rate law expression? It actually gives us how the rate depends upon the concentration as determined experimentally. It gives us the actual dependence of rate as determined experimentally. Okay, so this example should clear your doubts. So I'm just giving you one simple example. Okay, I'll give you one simple example. Okay, fine. So now let us consider the reaction between nitrogen dioxide NO2 and F2 to give NO2F. Fine. So I've written down a chemical reaction. So I'll balance this to 2. Fine. 2 moles of NO2 reacts with 1 moles of F2 to give us 2 moles of NO2F. Now, according to this law of mass action, how does the rate depend upon NO2? So rate will be equal to K NO2, fine, F2. So now we have to look at the coefficient. What is the coefficient out here? 2. So this 2 will be raised to the power. What is the coefficient out here? 1. So 1 will be raised to the power. So we say that this rate is of second order with respect to NO2. Okay, it depends upon the second power of concentration of NO2. Fine. And the rate is equal to first order with respect to F2, since there is 1 out here. Now what is the overall order of this reaction? What is the overall order? Order is denoted by N. It is equal to sum of coefficients. So 2 plus 1, it is equal to 3. So the overall order should be 3. according to your law of mass action. According to your law of mass action. Fine. Now, when this reaction was studied experimentally, when this reaction was studied experimentally, okay, when this reaction was studied experimentally, it was found that when this reaction was studied experimentally, it was found that rate equals to K NO2 F2. Fine. So when this reaction, when the same reaction was studied experimentally, it was found that the rate depends upon the first power of concentration of NO2, not upon the second power. And the rate depends upon the first power of concentration of F2. So this is the rate of a reaction in terms of rate law expression. So law of mass action, it gives us the theoretical dependence of rate as given in the balanced chemical equation. Whereas in order to determine the order rate according to rate law expression, okay, we need the experimental data like this. So experimentally, when this reaction was carried out, it was found that the rate depends upon the first power of concentration of NO2 and the first power of concentration of F2. So what is the rate with what is the order? What is the order with respect to NO2 now? It is a first order. What is the order with respect to F2? Again, it is a first order. So what will be the overall order of this particular reaction? The overall order will be 1 plus 1. It is actually equal to 2, not 3. Got it? So there is a difference between the rate expression in terms of law of mass action and in terms of rate law expression. One gives us the theoretical dependence of rate as given in the balanced chemical equation, whereas rate law expression, it actually gives us how actually the rate depends upon the concentration of the reactant as determined experimentally. So yes, the coefficients might be same. For example, out here the coefficient is 1, out here power is 1, here also the power is 1. So it may be equal as written earlier, or it may be different. For example, here it is 1, here it is 2. Fine, it may be same or it may be different. That is why for this particular reaction, A plus B moles of B giving you product. So however written down the rate law expression, rate will be equal to K, concentration of A to the power P, concentration of B to the power Q, like this. So where this power P can be equal to A, as in this case 1, 1. It may be equal or it may not be equal, as in this case. Here Q is not equal to B. For example, here the order with respect to NO2 is 1. Here it is here second order. So it may be same or it may not be same. So most of the students are confused out here. Why suddenly it is written P and Q? Because these coefficients, when it is determined experimentally, the order may be different from that of the theory, or it may be the same. Fine. So that is why we need to write down P and Q instead of A and B out again. Okay. So this is the rate law expression. Now, how do you define the order? Now, for this particular reaction, I can write down the order as the order N equals to P plus Q. So this is the concept of order. This is the concept of order. Okay. So depending upon the values of N, there are various possibilities of order of a reaction. Okay. So when the value of N equals to 0, we say the reaction is of 0 order. Yes, N can be equal to 0. The order of a reaction can be equal to 0. When the order of a reaction is equal to 0, we say it is a 0 order reaction. Okay. So N can be equal to 1. So in this case, we say it is a first order reaction. When N equals to 2, we can say it is a second order reaction, and so on. And remember, N, it can be fractional as well, and the order of a reaction can be fractional as well. Fine. So you refer any standard textbooks and please go through the examples of order of a reaction. So in my next class, I'll be going into details about this order of a reaction. Okay, so in my next class, I'll be going into details how do you determine the order of a reaction, and we shall also discuss how to write down the units of K for different order reactions. Okay.